Dr. Maya Watson had studied languages all her life. She knew how people from different places talked to each other, but nothing had prepared her for trying to talk with someone from another world. The alien woman sat across from Maya in the special room they had set up at the research station. Guards stood outside the door. The room had soft lights because bright ones seemed to hurt Zaravin's eyes. They had been working together for 2 weeks now, ever since Ethan had brought the alien back from Europa. "Can you tell me again about your home?" Maya asked, speaking slowly. Zaravin's strange eyes looked at Maya. Those eyes still made Maya feel a little scared. They were completely black except for tiny lights that looked like stars. The alien touched the small computer on the table between them. This computer helped them talk to each other. It showed pictures and simple words. "My home was beautiful," Zaravin said through the computer. Her real voice sounded like singing, but the computer turned it into words Maya could understand. "Many worlds, not just one. My people lived among the stars when yours were still making fire on your planet." Maya typed some notes. "You keep saying was and were. What happened to your people?" Sadness showed on Zaravin's face. Her skin, which normally shined like the inside of a seashell, seemed to dim a little. "We were betrayed," she said. "Those we thought were friends turned against us. There was a great war. My ship was attacked as I carried the last of our—" She stopped, looking for the right word. The computer showed pictures of seeds, eggs, and DNA patterns. "The last of what we were, our essence." "You mean genetic material? Like DNA?" Maya asked. "Yes. The memory of my people, so we could be born again someday." Maya felt sad for her. "And you crashed on Europa." "The ship was damaged. I had to land quickly. I went into the deep sleep to wait for help, but help never came." "You said that was 400 years ago," Maya said. "Yes, my people are now gone." Zaravin's crystal crown, which usually glowed with its own light, became dim. Outside the room where Maya and Zaravin talked, Ethan was working with a team of scientists to study the alien ship. They had moved it from Europa to a special hangar at the research station. The ship was unlike anything humans had ever built. "The metal doesn't match anything on our periodic table," said one scientist, looking at test results, "and we still can't figure out how the engine works. It seems to bend space itself." Ethan touched the ship's side. Ever since he had connected minds with Zaravin, he sometimes got feelings or pictures in his head about the ship. It was like she had left a piece of her knowledge with him. "The drive works by folding space," he said, not really knowing how he knew this. "It doesn't move through space like our ships. It moves space around itself." The scientists looked at him strangely.
"How do you know that?"
one asked. Ethan shook his head. "I just do. I think Zaravin showed me somehow." News about the alien had spread through secret channels. Only top government people knew, but that was still too many people keeping a secret this big. General Patricia Duncan arrived at the research station with her own team. She was in charge of military intelligence and didn't smile much. "I need a full report," she told the head scientist as soon as she arrived. "Everything you know about the alien and the ship." "Her name is Zaravin," Ethan said. "And she's cooperating, fully with us." Patricia gave him a cold look. "Lieutenant Cole, I understand you've become quite friendly with this creature. That concerns me." "She's not a creature," Ethan said, trying to stay calm. "She's the queen of an advanced civilization, and she needs our help." "What she is," Patricia said, "is a potential threat to national security, or an opportunity. Either way, my team will be taking over this project." Later that day, Patricia called a meeting with all the important people at the station. Maya was there, and Ethan, along with the top scientists and security officers. "Here's what we know," Patricia said. "We have an alien with technology centuries ahead of ours. She claims to be the last of her kind, but we only have her word for that. What if there are more? What if this is just the first step in some kind of invasion?" "That's ridiculous," Maya said. "She's been nothing but peaceful, and she's sick." Everyone looked at Maya. This was news to most of them. What do you mean, sick? Patricia asked. Her body is breaking down, Maya explained. Being in Earth's environment is killing her slowly. The gravity, the air, the bacteria. It's all wrong for her system. Without the medical technology on her ship, she has maybe a few weeks to live. Patricia thought for a moment. That's unfortunate, but it doesn't change our priorities. The ship and its technology are the primary concern now. You're talking about letting her die, Ethan said, angry now. I'm talking about protecting our planet and securing technology that could put us centuries ahead, Patricia said. If saving her aligns with those goals, fine. If not. She didn't finish, but everyone knew what she meant. After the meeting, Ethan found Maya in her lab. We can't let them do this, he said quietly, making sure no one could hear them. What choice do we have? Maya asked. They're in charge now. We need to get her back to her ship, Ethan said. The full ship, not just the pieces they're taking apart. She needs the medical systems there. Maya looked shocked. What you're talking about is treason, Ethan. And what they're planning is murder, he answered. She came here in peace. She's asking for our help. We can't just let her die while they take her ship apart. Maya was quiet for a long time. Finally, she nodded. I'll help, but we need a plan. That night, Ethan went to see Zara Veen. The guards knew him well by now and let him in without questions. The alien queen was resting on a special bed they had made for her. She looked weaker than before. Ethan, she said when she saw him. Her voice in his mind was clearer now. They could talk this way without the computer. You are troubled. They're not going to help you, he said quietly. They care more about your ship's technology than your life. Zaravine didn't look surprised. It is the way of young species. The pull of power is strong. Maya and I want to help you get back to your ship. The real ship, not the pieces they're studying. Can your medical system save you? Yes, she said. But Ethan, there is more you must know. She reached out and touched his forehead. Images flooded Ethan's mind. He saw a darkness moving between stars. Not a normal darkness, but something alive, something hungry. He saw Zaravine's people fighting this darkness for thousands of years, keeping it away from living worlds. What is that thing? He asked when the vision ended. We called it the Void, she said. A living darkness that feeds on worlds. My people were its jailers for eons. With us gone, the barriers weaken. What does that have to do with your ship? The genetic material I carried isn't just to save my people, she explained. It contains the knowledge of how to maintain the barriers. Without it, the Void will eventually break free. Ethan felt cold. How long? Years, perhaps decades. But it is already testing its prison. Then we definitely need to get you out of here, Ethan said. Not just for your sake, but for everyone's. The strange signal kept beeping on Ethan Cole's device for 3 days now. He was tired, but he couldn't stop. The Navy had sent him alone to check out this old mining place on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. They thought it was empty. Just a bunch of old buildings where people once dug for rare metals. But something was giving off energy down there, and Ethan needed to find out what it was. The cold was biting through his suit as he walked across the icy surface. His breath made little clouds inside his helmet. The mining buildings were dark, shapes against the stars. Jupiter hung huge and striped in the black sky above him. Ethan followed the signal to a crack in the ice, hidden behind one of the old drill platforms. It was strange that no one had found this before. He shined his light down into the darkness. The beam showed something shiny, something that didn't belong in the natural ice of Europa. He set up his climbing gear and went down slowly. The signal got stronger. His heart beat faster. This wasn't just some old mining equipment left behind. This was something else. When he reached the bottom, Ethan couldn't believe what he was seeing. A ship. Not a human ship. Nothing like the clunky metal tubes humans use to travel in space. This was sleek and beautiful. It had a strange metal skin that seemed to drink up his flashlight beam instead of bouncing it back. The ship had crashed here, buried partly in Europa's ice, and from the way it sat, it had been here for a very long time. The ship had a shape that hurt Ethan's eyes if he looked at it too long. It had curves and angles that seemed wrong somehow, like they changed when he wasn't looking right at them. It was big, maybe 3 times the size of the biggest Earth ships. As Ethan walked closer, touching the cold metal of his gun for comfort, something strange happened. A part of the ship's side simply opened up. There was no sound, no sign of doors or hinges. The metal just moved aside like water parting. Inside, a soft blue light began to pulse as if inviting him in. "Command, this is Lieutenant Cole," he said into his radio. "I found something. Not sure what it is yet, but it's definitely not one of ours." Only static answered him. The ship must be blocking his signal somehow. Ethan knew he should wait for backup. That was the rule. But backup was days away. And this discovery couldn't wait. What if the ship closed again? What if whatever opened it decided he wasn't friendly and turned on some defense system? He had to go in now. The air inside was different. His suit sensors said it was breathable, which made no sense. How could there be good air inside a ship that had been crashed for who knows how long? There was also a sweet smell, like flowers he had never smelled before. The blue light seemed to be coming from the walls themselves. The hallways didn't go straight like in human ships. They curved and turned in ways that made Ethan feel lost after just a few steps. It was like walking through a maze where the rules of direction didn't work right. Something was pulling him forward. Not a real pull, but a feeling. Like when you smell good food and your feet just take you to the kitchen without thinking. Ethan followed this feeling through the twisting halls. He came to a big round room in what felt like the middle of the ship. The blue light was brighter here. In the center of the room was something like a big crystal, amber-colored and clear enough to see through. And inside the crystal was a person. No, not a person. As Ethan got closer, he could see that whatever was in there wasn't human. It looked almost human in shape. 2 arms, 2 legs, a head. But the skin shimmered like the inside of seashells, changing color slightly as the light hit it different ways. The face was sharp but beautiful, with high cheekbones and a small nose. On its head, instead of hair, was what looked like a crown made of living crystal that gave off its own soft light. It was a female as far as Ethan could tell. She was tall, maybe 7 feet if she were standing. She wore a simple outfit that seemed to be made of the same shifting material as the ship itself. Even trapped in the crystal, she looked powerful, important, like a queen. Ethan reached out, not really thinking about what he was doing. His hand touched the crystal surface. It felt warm, not cold like he expected. At his touch, cracks appeared in the crystal, spreading out like a spider web from where his fingers had been. He jumped back, pulling his gun out. The cracks spread until the whole crystal surface was covered with them. Then, with a sound like wind chimes, the crystal broke apart. The pieces didn't fall to the ground but floated away, disappearing like smoke. The alien woman didn't fall either. She floated gently down until her feet touched the floor. For a moment, she stood completely still. Ethan held his breath, his gun pointed at her, though he knew deep down it would probably be useless against whatever she was. Then her eyes opened. Ethan gasped. Her eyes were completely black except for tiny dots of light in them, like stars in a night sky. Those eyes locked onto his, and Ethan felt a strange connection form between them. It was like she was looking straight into his mind. Time seemed to stretch out in that moment. Ethan felt like he was falling into those star-filled eyes, seeing things he couldn't understand. Images of strange worlds, giant cities that seemed to be made of the same crystal as her crown, fleets of ships like this one traveling between stars. War, fire, running, fear. Then the connection broke as she blinked. She took a step toward him and Ethan raised his gun higher, his hands shaking. The alien raised her hand, palm out, in what seemed like a universal gesture of peace. Then she opened her mouth and made sounds that were like music and water flowing at the same time. Of course, Ethan couldn't understand. "I don't know what you're saying," he said, lowering his gun a little. "Do you understand me?" The alien tilted her head, listening. Then she pointed to herself and said a word. "Zaravine." "Is that your name?" "Zaravine?" Ethan asked. He pointed to himself. Ethan. I'm Ethan. Zaravine nodded slowly, as if this gesture was familiar to her kind too. Then she looked around the room, her face showing what Ethan thought might be sadness. She made more musical sounds, then seemed to realize he couldn't understand. Instead, she raised her hand again, this time pointing it at Ethan's head, looking at him with a question in those strange eyes. Ethan didn't know what she wanted, but he felt he could trust her. He nodded. Zaravine stepped closer and gently placed her cool, smooth hand against his forehead. The world exploded into colors and feelings and thoughts that weren't his own. Ethan felt himself falling again, but this time he wasn't afraid. Somehow he knew that Zaravine was trying to talk to him the only way she could, mind to mind. And deep in his thoughts, he heard her voice for the first time. "Help me, Ethan of Earth. I have been sleeping for so very long and there is great danger coming." Ethan walked into his dark room after a long day at the lab. Something felt wrong. The air seemed different. He reached for the light switch, but before he could turn it on, a voice spoke from the darkness. "Don't turn on the light, Lieutenant Cole." Ethan froze. He knew that voice. It belonged to Agent Samantha Reeves from the Department of Defense Intelligence. She worked under General Patricia. "What are you doing in my room?" Ethan asked, staying by the door. A small light came on, near the window. It showed just enough of Samantha's face for Ethan to see her serious expression. She wore a black suit and had short brown hair. "We need to talk about your alien friend," she said. "She's not my friend," Ethan said carefully. "She's a visitor. We're studying." Samantha gave a small laugh that had no happiness in it. "Is that what we're calling her? A visitor? Let's be clear, Lieutenant. That thing is a threat to national security. She has a name," Ethan said, feeling angry but trying not to show it. "And she's dying. Dr. Watson says the only way to save her is to let her use the medical systems on her ship." "That ship," Samantha said, leaning forward, "has technology that could change the balance of power on Earth. Whoever controls it could control the world. We can't risk losing that." "So you'll let her die?" Ethan asked. "If necessary," Samantha said coldly. "My team is taking over the project tomorrow morning. Zaravine will be moved to our facility for more detailed study." The way she said detailed study made Ethan's skin crawl. He knew what that meant. They would take her apart to see how she worked, like a machine. "General Patricia approved this?" he asked. "The general follows orders just like you should." Samantha stood up. "I'm telling you this as a courtesy. Stay out of the way, Lieutenant. Your career has been good so far. Don't ruin it." After she left, Ethan waited a few minutes to make sure she was really gone. Then he grabbed his secure phone and called Maya. "They're moving her tomorrow," he said when Maya answered. "We need to act tonight. I'll meet you at the lab in 20 minutes, Maya said, her voice tense but determined. The research station was quieter at night. Fewer people worked the night shift. Ethan and Maya both had high security clearance, so no one questioned them as they headed to the special room where Zaravine was kept. The two guards outside her door knew them well by now. "Kind of late for a visit, isn't it, Lieutenant?" One guard asked. "Dr. Watson needs to run some tests," Ethan said casually. "Zaravine's condition is getting worse." The guards looked at each other, then shrugged. They had no reason not to trust Ethan and Maya. They opened the door. Zaravine was lying on her bed. Her once bright skin had turned dull. The crystal crown on her head barely glowed now. Her eyes opened when they came in, and Ethan felt her weak touch in his mind. "You've come," she said in his thoughts. "It is time?" "Yes," Ethan thought back. "They're going to move you tomorrow, to a place where they'll hurt you." Maya was checking Zaravine's vital signs on a monitor. "She's weaker than yesterday," she said quietly. "We need to hurry." They had planned this carefully. Maya went to the computer and began typing quickly. "I'm changing her medical status to critical," she explained. "That will let us move her to the ship hangar for emergency treatment with the alien technology there." While Maya worked on the computer, Ethan helped Zaravine sit up. She was light, despite being so tall. It was like her bones were hollow, like a bird's. "Can you walk?" he asked her. "With help," she answered in his mind. Maya finished with the computer and came over to help. Together, they got Zaravine to her feet. She was so weak that she had to lean on both of them. "Ready?" Ethan asked. Maya nodded, looking nervous but determined. They opened the door. The guards looked surprised to see Zaravine up. "Her condition is critical," Maya said quickly. "We need to move her to the ship hangar immediately. The alien medical technology is her only chance." The guards hesitated. "We should call for medical transport," one said. "There's no time," Ethan insisted. "Look at her. She could die any minute." The guards looked at Zaravine's weak condition and nodded. "We'll come with you," one said. This wasn't part of the plan, but they couldn't argue without looking suspicious. "Fine," Ethan said. "Let's move quickly." They made their way through the hallways of the research station. A few night workers saw them but didn't stop them. Everyone knew about the alien by now, and seeing her being moved with an escort didn't raise alarms. They reached the elevator that would take them down to the ship hangar. As they waited for it to arrive, Ethan felt Zaravine's thoughts touch his mind again. "Be ready," she said. "Your people will try to stop us once they understand what we're doing." The elevator arrived. They all got in, and Maya pressed the button for the hangar level. As the doors closed, Zaravine suddenly stood straighter. Her hand moved in a blur, touching the guards on their foreheads. Their eyes rolled back and they slumped to the floor, unconscious. "What did you do?" Maya gasped. "They sleep," Zaravine said aloud, her voice like musical notes. "They will wake with no memory of this. You're stronger than you've been letting on," Ethan said, surprised. "I had to conserve my strength," she explained in his mind. "And I needed to know if I could trust you." The elevator reached the hangar level. The doors opened to reveal a huge space where Zaravine's ship was kept. Scientists had been taking it apart piece by piece, trying to understand how it worked. Parts of it were spread out across the floor. "Can it still fly?" Maya asked, looking, worried at the state of the ship. "They have not damaged its core systems," Zaravine said, "but we must hurry. The genetic repository is still intact, but they are close to finding it." They helped Zaravine move toward the ship. Just as they reached it, alarms began to sound throughout the facility. "They've discovered we're gone," Ethan said. "We don't have much time." The ship seemed to recognize Zaravine. As they approached, a part of the hull opened silently, just like it had when Ethan first found it on Europa. Inside, the blue lights came on, pulsing with energy. "The ship is awakening," Zaravine said. "It has been waiting for me." They got inside just as the hangar doors burst open. Security teams rushed in, led by General Patricia herself. She held a megaphone. "Lieutenant Cole, Dr. Watson, you are committing treason." Her voice boomed across the hangar. "Surrender now." Ethan looked at Maya. "Last chance to back out," he said. "You could say I forced you." Maya shook her head. "I'm not letting them kill her. Whatever happens, we're in this together." The ship's entrance began to close. Through the narrowing opening, they could see Patricia giving orders to her security teams. Some were taking up positions with weapons pointed at the ship. "They will try to disable the ship," Zaravine said. "We must leave now." The entrance sealed shut, cutting off the view of the hangar. Inside, the ship was coming fully alive. Lights brightened, and a humming sound filled the air. Panels that had been dark for centuries lit up with strange symbols and patterns. Zaravine moved toward what seemed to be the center of the ship. Here, there was something like a control room, though it had no buttons or levers or screens like human ships. Instead, there was a platform where Zaravine stood, and the walls around it glowed with changing patterns of light. "The ship responds to my thoughts," she explained to Ethan and Maya. "It is part of me, and I am part of it." Outside, they could hear dull thuds as security teams tried to break into the ship, but the alien metal held strong. "Can you fly us out of here?" Ethan asked. The hangar doors are closed and they'll have fighter jets scrambled within minutes of us taking off. This ship does not fly as yours do, Zaravine said. Her voice was stronger now, more confident. Being back in her ship was already helping her. It moves through space in ways your science does not yet understand. The humming of the ship grew louder. The floor beneath them vibrated slightly. What about the genetic repository? Maya asked. You said it was the key to stopping this void thing. It is here, Zaravine said, touching a wall. A panel slid open, revealing a small crystal container. Inside were thousands of tiny lights, like fireflies frozen in time. The essence of my people, our knowledge, our history, our future. More thuds came from outside, louder now. They were bringing in heavier equipment to break through the ship's hull. We need to go, Ethan urged. Zaravine nodded and returned to the platform. She closed her eyes and the crystal crown on her head began to glow brighter than they had ever seen it. The ship's humming changed tone, becoming higher, almost like singing. Prepare yourselves, she said. The first transition is always difficult. For new travelers. The ship shuddered. Then, without any feeling of movement, the walls around them seemed to become transparent. But instead of seeing the hangar outside, they saw stars. Countless stars, as if they were suddenly in deep space. Are we in space? Maya asked, her voice filled with wonder. Not exactly, Zaravine said. We are between spaces, moving through the folds of reality. The starfield shifted and suddenly they could see Europa below them, its icy surface reflecting the distant sun. We've returned to where you found me, Zaravine said to Ethan. Now we must go further. Where are we going? Ethan asked. Zaravine's star-filled eyes looked at him with something like sadness. To finish what my people started, to strengthen the barriers before the void breaks free. And after that? Maya asked. The journey through space was unlike anything Ethan or Maya had ever experienced. Zaravine's ship didn't travel like human ships. It didn't burn fuel or push against the vacuum. Instead, it seemed to fold space around itself, slipping through, wrinkles in reality that human science hadn't even discovered yet. Through the transparent walls of the ship, they saw wonders that no human eyes had seen before, giant clouds of colored gas that formed shapes like giant animals, stars being born in explosions of light, dark holes that ate everything around them, and sometimes, strangest of all, they saw what looked like threads of light connecting distant stars like a giant spiderweb spread across the universe. What are those? Maya asked, pointing to the threads. The ancient pathways, Zaravine explained. Her strength was returning now that she was back in her ship. The medical systems had been working on her body, repairing the damage done by her time on Earth. Her skin glowed again with its pearl-like shine, and the crystal crown on her head pulsed with energy. My people built them long ago, to move quickly, between stars. Like space highways? Ethan asked. Yes, though they are more than that. They are also watchtowers. Places where we can see the void and keep it contained. As they traveled, Zaravine told them more about her people, the Lyricans. They had been one of the first intelligent species in this part of the galaxy, evolving billions of years before humans. They had spread across thousands of star systems, building a peaceful civilization based on knowledge and art. But then, they had discovered the void. It wasn't a natural thing, Zaravine explained. It was something from outside normal space. A living darkness that fed on stars and planets and life itself. My ancestors found a way to contain it, she said. To build walls around it, made of energy and thought and the very fabric of space-time. For millions of years we kept watch, strengthening the walls whenever the void tried to break free. What happened to your people? Maya asked. You said you were betrayed. Sadness crossed Zaravine's face. Yes. There were other species who grew jealous of our knowledge. They believed we were keeping secrets from them, hoarding power. They didn't understand that our greatest power was used simply to keep the darkness at bay. They attacked you? Ethan asked. They joined together, against us. A great alliance of younger species who wanted what we had. They didn't understand that what we had was a burden, not a treasure. Zaravine looked out at the stars passing by. The war lasted for centuries. In the end, we were too few to fight both the Alliance and keep the void contained. My ship carried the last hope of our people, our genetic essence and our knowledge so that someday the Lyricans might live again. While they talked, they were being followed. Earth had sent ships after them, the fastest military vessels humans had built. But compared to Zaravine's ship, they were like turtles chasing a falcon. "They can't catch us," Ethan said, looking at the human ships falling further behind. "But they're still tracking us." "That is a problem," Zaravine said. "Where we are going, they cannot follow. It would be dangerous for them and for what we must do." "Where are we going?" Maya asked. "To the nearest watch point, a place where the walls between normal space and the void are thinnest. I must strengthen those walls before they break completely." Zaravine moved her ship faster, using the ancient pathways to leave the human vessels far behind. Eventually, they came to a strange part of space. There were few stars here, and the ones that existed looked dim and sickly. The space between them seemed darker than normal, as if the blackness was somehow thicker. "We are close," Zaravine said. "The void presses against reality here. Can you feel it?" Ethan and Maya both felt a strange coldness, a feeling of dread that had nothing to do with temperature. It was like the feeling of someone watching you in the dark, but a million times stronger. "What is that?" Maya whispered, hugging herself. "The void senses us," Zaravine said. "It is hungry, and it has been long since it fed." The ship slowed and stopped near what looked like a tear in space itself. It wasn't black like a hole, or bright like a star. It was nothing. A place where reality simply ended, leaving something that human eyes couldn't really see or understand. "The barrier is very weak here," Zaravine said, her voice worried. "Weaker than I feared. We must work quickly." She went to the crystal container that held the genetic material of her people. Opening it, she took out a small piece that glowed with inner light. "This contains the knowledge we need," she explained. "The patterns of energy that can strengthen the walls." The ship moved closer to the tear in space. Ethan and Maya felt the cold dread grow stronger. The walls of the ship darkened, no longer transparent. Perhaps what was outside was too terrible for human eyes to see. "What can we do to help?" Ethan asked. "You cannot help with this part," Zaravine said. "But stay close. Your presence comforts me." She stood on the control platform again, holding the glowing piece of crystal. Her own crystal crown began to pulse in time with it. The ship hummed louder, and the walls began to glow with strange patterns that hurt the eyes if you looked at them too long. Zaravine began to sing. At least it sounded like singing, though the notes were like no music Ethan or Maya had ever heard. Some were so high they could barely hear them, others so low they felt them in their bones rather than their ears. The song seemed to make the air itself vibrate. The glowing patterns on the walls moved faster, spinning around them like a tornado of light. Zaravine's body began to glow too, as if the light was passing through her. The crystal in her hands grew brighter and brighter until Ethan and Maya had to shield their eyes. Then suddenly, everything stopped. The light vanished. The humming quieted. Zaravine stood perfectly still, the crystal in her hands now dark and empty. "Is it done?" Maya asked quietly. "For now," Zaravine said, her voice tired. "I have strengthened this part of the barrier, but there are many more weak points, and I am only one where once there were thousands." The walls of the ship became transparent again. Outside, space looked normal once more. The tear was gone, and the stars seemed brighter. The feeling of dread had vanished. But something else was there now. Human ships. Not the ones that had followed them from Earth, but new ones. Bigger. Warships. "How did they find us?" Ethan asked, surprised. "The energy we released to fix the barrier," Zaravine explained. "It would be easy to detect. One of the human ships was trying to contact them. A message came through the ship's systems, translated into words they could understand. Alien vessel, this is General Patricia Duncan of Earth Force One. You have stolen Earth property and kidnapped Earth citizens. Surrender immediately or we will open fire. Earth property, Maya said angrily. They're talking about you and the Albur. Ship like your things to be owned. It is the way of young species, Zaravine said sadly. They do not yet understand that some things belong to no one, and some belong to everyone. Can your ship outrun them again? Ethan asked. Yes, but not while carrying both of you safely. The energy used to repair the barrier has weakened our defenses. Zaravine looked at them both with her star-filled eyes. I must ask you to make a choice. Return to your people or continue with me. If we go back, what happens to you? Maya asked, I will continue my work. There are many weak points to repair. It will take years, perhaps decades. And if we go with you? Ethan asked. The journey will be dangerous. You may never see your home again, but you will see wonders beyond imagining and help save countless worlds from the darkness. Before they could answer, General Patricia's voice came through again. This is your final warning. Surrender or be destroyed. One of the Earth ships fired a warning shot. A missile exploded near them, making the ship shudder. We must decide quickly, Zaravine said. Ethan looked at Maya. They had known each other only a short time, but they had been through so much together. She nodded, understanding his unspoken question. We're staying with you, Ethan told Zaravine. Earth will have to manage without us. Zaravine's face showed an expression they hadn't seen before, a smile. Then let us continue our journey, she said. There is much to do and many wonders to show you. The ship's engines hummed to life again. Outside, the Earth vessels prepared to fire, but before they could, Zaravine's ship slipped sideways into reality, following one of the ancient pathways. The stars blurred around them, and Earth ships vanished behind them. Where to now? Maya asked. There is a place, Zaravine said. A hidden world where my people built our greatest library. If anywhere holds the key to permanently sealing the void, it would be there. As the ship sped through the pathways between stars, Ethan looked back in the direction of Earth, now far behind them and invisible in the vastness of space. He didn't know if he would ever see his home again. But looking at Zaravine guiding her ship through the wonders of the universe, and at Maya with her eyes full of excitement for what lay ahead, he knew he had made the right choice. The void was still out there pressing against the walls of reality. The journey ahead would be long and dangerous. But for the first time in centuries, someone was fighting back against the darkness. And now, that someone wasn't fighting alone. 5 years had passed since Ethan and Maya had left Earth behind. In that time, they had traveled to places no human had ever seen. They had walked on worlds with purple skies and oceans of liquid metal. They had seen cities built by species, so different from humans that calling them alien didn't even begin to describe them, and they had helped Zaravine in her endless work of strengthening the barriers that kept the void contained. The ship had become their home. Over time, Zaravine had changed parts of it to be more comfortable for her human companions. She created rooms with gravity and air similar to Earth's, and systems that could make food that tasted like what they remembered from home. Today, they were orbiting a small green planet in a system far from Earth. This world had no intelligent life, just plants and simple animals, but beneath its surface lay one of the ancient Lyrican outposts, places where Zaravine's people had built machines to help hold back the void. The outpost is active, Zaravine said, looking at the patterns of light on the ship's walls. That is good. It means some of the old systems still work. Do we need to go down and check it? Ethan asked. Over the years, he had learned to read the ship's displays almost as well as Zaravine could. No, she said. It is stable for now. We can continue to the next one. Maya came into the control room, carrying the small computer she used to keep records of their journey. Her hair was longer now and her face looked older and wiser than when they had left Earth. I've finished translating the text from the last library, she said. It talks about something called the joining, a way to permanently seal the void. Zaravine's crystal crown glowed with interest. What does it say? It's not complete, Maya said. Parts of the text were damaged, but it talks about a great gathering of minds, a combining of many different species' thoughts and energies. The Lyricans tried it once before, but they didn't have enough different types of consciousness. That matches what we found in the Great Library, Zaravine said. My people tried to seal the void forever, but they could not do it alone. They needed other species, other ways of thinking to create a complete barrier. Over the years, they had been slowly gathering allies, species that had once been part of the alliance against the Lyricans, but who now understood the greater threat of the void. With Zaravine to guide them, these different species had been working together to maintain the barriers. There's something else, Maya said. The text mentions Earth specifically. Both Zaravine and Ethan looked at her in surprise. Earth? Ethan asked. How is that possible? The Lyricans were gone long before humans evolved. Not humans, Maya explained. The planet itself. Apparently, Earth sits at an important point in space, a kind of crossroads between dimensional planes. The text says this makes it especially important for any attempt to permanently seal the void. Zaravine was quiet for a long time, thinking. This changes our plans, she finally said. We must return to Earth. Ethan felt a strange mix of emotions at this idea. Earth was still home, even after all these years. But they had left as fugitives. What kind of welcome would they receive? Will Earth's governments even talk to us? He asked. Last time we saw them, they were shooting missiles at us. Much has changed in 5 years, Zaravine said, and we have allies now. We will not approach alone. The decision made, they set course for Earth. But they did not travel directly there. First, they visited the worlds of their allies, the Duraxians with their crystal bodies, the Vrel who existed partly in our dimension and partly in another, the Tachidi with their hive minds, and others. From each world, representatives joined their mission, until they had a small fleet of ships. As they approached the solar system, they sent messages ahead, not to Earth's governments, but to someone they hoped would still be friendly. Kate Lawson had been a young researcher at the facility where Zaravine was first studied. She had helped Ethan and Maya escape with the alien queen, though few people knew this. Now, according to the information they had gathered, Kate was part of Earth's new Interstellar Relations Council. Message received, Maya said, looking at the ship's communications display. Kate is still there, and she's arranged for us to meet with the council. The fleet of alien ships entered the solar system cautiously. They stopped near Mars, waiting for Earth's response. Earth had changed in the 5 years they had been gone. The discovery of Zaravine and her ship had pushed human technology forward rapidly. There were now permanent bases on the Moon and Mars, and ships that could travel through the solar system in weeks instead of months or years. A delegation from Earth came to meet them at the Mars base. Kate Lawson was among them, now older and with a more confident air about her. When she saw Ethan and Maya, she hugged them both tightly. You have no idea how much has changed, she told them. After you left, things were tense for a while. General Patricia wanted to label you both as traitors, but then we started to detect the energy signatures from your work on the barriers. You could detect that? Maya asked, surprised. Our technology has advanced quickly, Kate said, and we had help. She gestured to a tall, thin alien standing with the Earth delegation. It wasn't a Lyrican, but another species they hadn't seen before. This is Ambassador Nix, Kate introduced them. After you left, other alien species began to contact Earth. They said your actions with Zaravine had changed things, opened up possibilities. Ambassador Nix bowed slightly. The humans have been quick learners, it said in a musical voice. They have much to offer the greater community of worlds. They all went to a meeting room in the Mars base. There, Zaravine explained about the void, the weakening barriers, and what the ancient texts had revealed about Earth's importance. So you need our help now? Asked one of the Earth officials. We need each other's help, Zaravine corrected gently. The void threatens all life, everywhere. No single species can stand against it alone. That was the mistake my people made, thinking we could bear this burden by ourselves. After much discussion, the Earth Council agreed to cooperate. Scientists from Earth would work with Zaravine and the other alien species to develop the joining technology that might permanently seal the void. Over the next few months, Ethan and Maya spent time on Earth, helping to coordinate between humans and aliens. It was strange being home after so long away. Earth seemed smaller now, more fragile after they had seen so much of the universe. General Patricia was still around, though she had mellowed somewhat over the years. When she saw Ethan, she simply nodded and said, "Looks like you were right. Lieutenant, we weren't seeing the bigger picture." Coming from her, that was practically an apology. The work progressed quickly. Earth scientists brought fresh perspectives to problems that the older species had struggled with for centuries, and the genetic repository that Zaravine had saved, containing the accumulated knowledge of the Lyricans, provided crucial insights. Finally, the day came to attempt the joining. Special stations had been built at key points around Earth and in space. Representatives from 27 different species were present, each contributing their unique form of consciousness to the effort. Ethan, Maya, and Zaravine were on the main station, orbiting Earth at a point where, according to the ancient texts, the dimensional barriers were thinnest. "Are you nervous?" Ethan asked Zaravine as they prepared the equipment. "Yes," she admitted. "This is what my people worked toward for millions of years but never achieved. To be the one who finally attempts it, the responsibility is great." "You're not alone," Maya reminded her, touching her arm gently. Over the years, the three of them had developed a deep bond, a friendship that crossed the boundaries of species. The joining began. Each species connected to the network in their own way. Some used technology, others pure thought. Zaravine stood on a platform similar to the one on her ship, her crystal crown glowing brighter than ever before. Ethan and Maya wore special helmets that let their minds connect to the network. As the joining progressed, they began to feel the presence of all the other minds, thousands of different consciousnesses, each thinking in their own unique way. And they felt something else too, the void. Now that they were connected to so many minds across space, they could sense it more clearly. It was vast and hungry and ancient, pressing against reality like a storm trying to break through a dam. The combined consciousness of 27 species pushed back against the void. At first, it seemed like they were losing. The pressure was too great, the darkness too vast. But then, something changed. The human minds brought a new element to the joining, a stubborn refusal to give up, a creative spark that found new patterns in the chaos. Slowly, the tide turned. The combined energies of all the different species began to weave a new kind of barrier, not just a wall holding back the darkness, but a filter that transformed it. The void was not destroyed, but changed, its hungry emptiness filled with possibilities, instead of nothingness. When it was over, everyone connected to the joining felt the difference. The constant pressure of the void was gone. In its place was a sense of balance, of completion. "Did it work?" Kate asked as they removed their connection equipment. "Yes," Zaravine said, her voice filled with wonder. "The void is contained, not just temporarily, but permanently.